When we give some amount of credence to people, then we can look at what they did right rather than saying that everything that they say is wrong. So, if we give even just the tiniest little bit of credence, then we can understand why this happened rather than believing a dogmatic belief of what their opposition said. If you listen to the red pill community, which I would not suggest in the slightest, they do get a couple of things right. Historically, in every culture in antiquity, work is not seen as a lamentation where you loathe working. Rather, it's seen as a fundamental reason for existing. It gives us purpose. But what we see with the modern work culture is that it is almost devoid of purpose in many cases. And the way we can remedy this is if you just are the type to work a 9 to 5, that security is what you're really after. I don't think that works too well in the modern day, but everything has its place. If you really want to say get into the print media, even though that's dying, we'll use that as an example because it comes to mind. If you really want to be in that, you have two options. You can either work a job in print media, or you can start your own print media. That's really the crux of it, is you have those two options. You can either do it all yourself, or you can start with what's already been done. But what's important in that analogy is the purpose. If you just get a job because it's the first job that gave you an offer, you will hate that job. If you decide to go and try to work at a specific place, I guarantee you'll like it. But you have to decide, because that's going to get, that's what will be indicative of having a meaningful experience at work, rather than just taking just the first job that comes to you. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the times when we work for a corporation, we find ourselves in this 9 to 5 where it's 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, and 8 hours of leisure. And that sounds fine and good and dandy. But the issue that comes from that is that when you work without purpose, you find yourself working for 8 hours, but because you're so drained from not having a purpose, you then have the rest of the 16 hours of your day being filled with not leisure but rest. It's just 16 hours of rest. Your leisure, your recreation becomes entertainment. So you don't have a chance to really enjoy life when you work a job that is just the first job that came to you. Now, there are ways of remedying this. I've already explained one of them, in the fact that you can get a job that you want. If you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, then you can decide that you want a job in a specific field. And my dad would then say that your job becomes getting a job. But there's another way. You can be creative. And people really mistake creativity with artistry. Being creative, when you make something, that's being creative, because you are creating something. And so that goes back to making your own print media. I guarantee you, if you were the person that wanted to be in print media and you decided to just start making pamphlets, like you take a piece of paper that feels good, and you write, like you start your own opinion column, and then you go and hand that out to anyone that will take it. I guarantee you that will feel more purposeful than if you found yourself working in a print job and you didn't want to be in that position. So when we create something, say even a YouTube video, then that gives purpose because it's something that we wanted to do. When we want to do something and we do that thing, that gives fulfillment. Your desire is then fulfilled, so you experience fulfillment. And so what I really implore people to do is find something that you want to do, and if it's something that can generate income, then you should be able to do that, because I can't really think of anything that someone would really in their heart want to do and it not have some route to creating an income. It's just not something I can think of. But when we work, what that really means is that we're setting a goal and we are being successful in our efforts to fulfill that goal until that goal is attained. So even if you wanted to be better at a video game, you could set goals that you want to, like, I feel like most people, if they're playing something like Call of Duty, what's really blocking them is that they're dying too much. So they need to figure out how to first, not die as much. Maybe once you really get a hang of that aspect, that goal is complete, then you can work on, say, your aim. And I'm not much of a Call of Duty guy, but it's setting those goals, and then you have to think about how you're going to fulfill that goal. And I know that you're probably not going to be a video game streamer, or even this YouTube thing. I'm not intending to generate an income from it, but if someone can get value out of it, that's what I'm concerned with. That's why I make these videos, is so that when people get value out of them, when they hear something novel, like, hey, maybe the red pill guys are just missing something to say. It's not that we should work more, but we should work more efficiently. The greatest minds in history, they only worked 4 hours a day. It wasn't this 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. It was 4 hours a day. And what that leaves you with is you have 4 hours of work, and then you have 20 hours of leisure, which can include rest, of course. But this whole 8 hours of work, 8 hours of leisure, 8 hours of rest, that's an illusion. The optimal amount of time, from what we see from Benjamin Franklin to Marie Curie to Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein, they work for 4 hours a day. And that's the most amount of work that they can cram in. Otherwise, you're just not putting in as much effort in those hours afterwards, and you get diminishing returns. So when we create something and we take ownership of it, we are still doing things instead, or not instead, whatever the opposite of instead would be. For example, if I create this YouTube video and you watch an ad for it, and I get a penny in ad revenue from it, then you watched that ad in my stead. And this is not a cut against you. This is not to say you're like my lackey or something, but what it is that I'm creating something that I hope has value, and in place a return is generated by my ownership of this thing that I've created. I'm trying to write a book right now, and my intentions with that is that I can write this book. I can do a good amount of marketing, because that's like phase 2. Once it gets published and everything, then it becomes marketing, and selling's the real goal here. I'm trying to sell you this video so that you watch it more, and there's more retention. So when I publish this book and it gets sold and I get royalties, then it's not so much that I'm not working, because I'll always be working. Even I hope to be working until I'm bedridden, and if I could work beyond that, that'd be great. If I could work when I'm dead, I'd feel great about that. But what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that it's the ownership that is what is desired, the ownership over things that you have created, and the responsibility that you have taken in your life creates that ownership in life. And I take ownership for all of the things that I've said in this video and all of the things that I've said outside of this video, because that's part of life, is taking ownership and responsibility. And you know, as brutal as capitalism sounds, you know, I always say that capitalism is just capitalizing on people. That's where that comes from. The issue with something like communism is just a change of management, and it's not ruled by the workers. That's not it entirely. There's never been a revolution in the history of man. It's just a change of ownership. And if you can't own something, then you can't generate the benefits of creating, and so nobody creates in their free time, because why would I create a beautiful painting if it would be seized? I mean, there's no reason to sell it if nobody has money. So, like, I really ask anyone who's watched this far into the video to create something for themselves. It could be something as simple as setting a goal of, you know, having a better KDA, for crying out loud. If that would make you fulfilled, to have a better kill death average, like, then go for it. Then and I can speak from experience. You would feel good that you would be good at something, and you would gain fulfillment from that. And with that comes bragging rights, you know, like that's why I got good at the games that I got, was so that I could brag to everyone, yeah, I'm like top 0.1% in the world. And people are like, wow, you need to slow down on the game, bud. But you know, it felt good to me, and that's what mattered. All this being said, when we look at the context of things like the book of Genesis and the Bhagavad Gita, these things are all saying that work is something that you have to do. Now, you can either be forced to work because you were not able to do the work that you were supposed to, or you can choose to work. But the fact of the matter is, if you are, say, you know, 16 and you're not obliged to take on the responsibilities of an adult at the point in your life, what you really probably should be doing is, I don't even think it should be, generating skills. It should be to be creative. I think that if you don't have a responsibility in your life, you need to be taking your responsibility as fast as possible. You need to find something, and you need to just throw yourself at it. Just 4 hours a day, and that'll those 4 hours a day, that will save you 16 hours a day. My name is Moles in Rome. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd like to keep making these videos, and even a like, it would help me out, because a like makes it so that someone else gets recommended the video, and a comment would be cool too. If you want to give some helpful advice. I'm not really big on the disparaging thing, but if you want to leave some helpful advice, that'd be great. Thank you.